G'day there, podcaster.
Yeah, you may have heard the Forbidden Folder in the other podcast, but this is extended, uncut version of our chat with trauma cleaner Dan. Yeah, obviously it's pretty heavy. We edited it for the radio to just cut a few of the more explicit things out.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one is pretty heavy. And if it brings up anything for you, Lifeline is 13 11 14. But yeah, with that context, here's our chat with Dan. Dan, how long have you been in this line of work?
20 years, mate. So I think I did my first one at about 14, and I'm 35 now.
Hang
You
on.
did your first one when you were 14.
Yeah, family business. So Dad's bring your kid to work day kind of was a bit different for me.
Oh,
Yeah, I
my
mean,
God.
Dan, I get maybe, if Dad works behind the bar at the footy club or whatever, flicking some snags for a bit of pocket money on the weekend, but I wouldn't have thought trauma cleaning's appropriate for a 14-year-old.
Dan, I'm sure you can't forget. What was the first job? What was the job you did?
Oh, no, he was pretty good. He only brought me on the easy stuff to begin with. Nothing too nasty. But at Trauma Clean, we do a big range of different things from, the really nasty stuff, obviously unattended deaths and that kind of stuff, but to really just what we would call extreme cleaning. Rubbish removal, gross filth and squalor are sort of industry terms for that. Drug lab cleanups, to, sewage cleanups, to sharps pickup. Really, if it's extreme and involves cleaning, that's kind of where we're involved.
So Dan, you see those videos on TikTok where there's like a hoarder's bathroom and it's like the grossest thing ever, and it's like get full of nappies or like whatever, and then they do like a big industrial clean and they have the big reveal at the end. Is that the level of cleaning you're doing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned nappies as well. Yeah, we just completed a big job very similar to that, but there could be, 4 or 5 skip bins and 10 or so trailers worth of rubbish being pulled out of some places.
Oh, my God.
Mass quantities. In fact, if it's a bit too easy, we don't get involved. So I have been to jobs where you'll quote and you'll say, look, it's not really for us. It's a bit more of a domestic clean, or it's, a bit too easy. So we're really only involved at the extreme level. So every job is extreme.
Yeah, if you do extreme hoarding, maybe you could do Bell's House. It's got a lot of
That's
HJ's
not funny.
cups.
No, because there's actual hoarders out there. I'm not a hoarder, Dan.
You're getting pretty close, Belle.
But Dan,
Well,
what does...
send me a couple of photos.
Dan, yeah, quote it up. I reckon it'd be about $7,000 job, I reckon.
Dan, what does an average day look like for you? Because I imagine you can't plan weeks and months in advance. You're pretty much on the fly.
No, literally anything can happen at any one time. I mean, just to give you an example, over the weekend I might get a call at, say, midday, and there's been a suicide by rail where we've got to go out and clean the train tracks.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Then you'll get a job where you've got to go to a different depot and do underneath the train itself.
Whoa.
Then the next day will be, we had a scheduled hoarder, so that's the job. But then the prison might call, and there's been a fight, and therere's blood, so we'll go to the prison.
Geez.
Oh, my God.
Then there might be, a quote from perhaps like we do a lot for the NDIS, so we work a lot with support workers who, their clients, maybe their house has gotten really out of control, and we might need to go and visit them and work with them.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anything could happen at any moment, and if you think it's going to be a quiet day, it often turns out not to be. So yeah, you got to be on your toes.
I mean, Dan, you obviously can't be squirmish in your line of work. Some people are like, no, can't do blood, or it's dog poo for me. I can do regular poo, but I can't do dog poo. Like, surely you just have to have the strongest stomach on earth. Like, you have to handle everything, right?
Pretty much. I mean, you do. It's funny. You do get used to it. You can get used to anything if you do it long enough, I suppose. But you're in a way, you're still shocked on every job that you've seen it all as well. So it's kind of a weird blending of the two. But of course, there are things that we prefer. See, blood and guts doesn't bother me. But as you said, maybe like dog feces or human feces. Yeah, I'd prefer to do the blood and the guts.
Wow.
So you must obviously, like, if you don't mind me asking, but you'd have to, like, definitely look after yourself and your own mental health and check in with people in your line of work, because I'm sure you'd be confronted to some of the, the worst things that people in life want to go their whole life without ever seeing. Is that something that you're really careful with?
Yeah, 100%. I should to clarify, I've been doing the jobs helping the family for 20 years, but I only came on board full-time a few years ago. Prior to that, I worked as a high school teacher, teaching psychology, so mental health and that kind of thing, and being aware of, psych-related issues has been a bit of part of my life. All of our team have, really great communication, chatting and debriefing with each other after every job. We give access to counselling sessions if anyone needs it. My mother's a social worker, so there's a lot of people to talk to, especially within our team and outside of our team if we need it. But that really, the things that we see and really the worst situations of all, I mean, we've all got different ways of dealing with it. All I can say is from my perspective, it really steals my resolve to be able to help people. It's a very empathetic job, and I get a lot of a buzz out of actually taking a really dire situation and helping people, make a positive outcome in a really bad situation. That kind of makes me feel good and makes our team members feel good. So, a lot of tragedy in the job, but there's a lot of opportunity to help and do a bit of good in the world as well. And I think that really is a main driver or motivator for our guys.
Well, it sounds like a really tight team. And Dan, you did mention it's a family business. Do you have kids yourself? Do you want to see your kids go into this?
It's a good question. Yeah, I've just got a new 10-month-old baby girl. So
on the mop in 14 years, I reckon.
Yeah, I'll get her involved. But hey, look, if she doesn't want to, that's totally understandable.
Would you encourage her to do it or not?
Well, it's a good question. I don't really know. I mean, I haven't experienced anything adverse from it. I've only experienced positive things in terms of being a person who people can rely on and help and fix a bad situation is a very admirable quality, and that's something I definitely want my daughter to have.
Yeah.
So I totally see that as a good thing, even though tragedy happens all the time all around us. And if you're someone with the skills and the resilience to work through it and make a plan and help someone, that just makes you a really good person for it.
It's crazy, Dan, because, you hear about this job and you're kind of why would you want to do that? And, you think of all these gruesome things and people, watch a lot of TV shows. But it's nice speaking to you, and it's definitely not coming from that angle of, you're fascinated about, gore or these horrible things you have to deal with. It sounds like you're coming from a really compassionate side of things, and you've obviously dealt with a lot of stuff in your life, and you've seen the worst of it, but you're trying to make the world a better place, which is really nice.
Absolutely. I mean, that's totally the motivator for me. When I see those hoarding shows on television, they're the last thing I want to watch. I'm not fascinated by it. It doesn't intrigue me like that. Sure, you get a bit of an adrenaline rush though when you might go to a scene and there's lots of police and ambulance and firefighters and there's obviously perhaps a crime that's committed. It's a bit of an adrenaline rush doing it, but it's not the driver for that. It's a job you couldn't do if you didn't have empathy and kindness and respect for people, because you're really just trying to change the worst situation or the worst day in someone's life into something that's a little bit more manageable. That's a great motivator.
Dan, thank you so much for your time this morning. Trauma cleaning, certainly not a gig I'm interested in. Someone's got to do it, and you and your family seem like the right people for the job. So appreciate your time, and we'll send you some photos of Belle's house so you can maybe as a Christmas present we'll get a hoarder house fixed up.
Thanks, Dan. Take it easy, mate.
Thank you very much, guys. See ya.